Hey there, my friends. Philip Mershon here, and I'm feeling groovy. Are you feeling groovy? I sure hope so, because we're going to dedicate the next few minutes to the topic of bell bottoms. What are they? Where'd they come from? And why am I not wearing them right now? I think most of us recognize bell-shaped or flared trousers as being emblematic of the United States Navy, and in fact that is the accepted origin, being documented as early as 1813. And by the mid-1800s, they were also being worn by the British Royal Navy. The reason for them is said that they were easier to roll up to knee length for the purposes of swabbing the deck. And evidently, swabbing the deck was a constant ongoing chore that almost nobody got out of. Ever since the early part of the 20th century, we've had a sailor in bells as part of all of our childhoods. When Cracker Jacks put Sailor Jack and his dog Bingo on boxes of Cracker Jacks in 1918. And then if we fast forward to the fashion-forward worlds of the French Riviera and the Hollywood mansions of the early 30s, you have women wearing wide and flared lounging pajamas and beach pajamas, which then morphed into the slacks fad so favored by screen stars like Katharine Hepburn. And then coming into the era most associated with bell bottoms, which of course is the 60s and 70s, the earliest example that I could find was dancer, choreographer, the great Toni Basil, appearing as a backup dancer in the brilliant concert film The Tammy Show, which was filmed at the end of 1964. Then, just a few months later, Peggy Caserta opened the Nasitica Boutique just 35 feet off the intersection of Haight and Ashbury Streets in San Francisco, where she brought bell bottoms to the great, sometimes unwashed masses. Suddenly, teens and hippies across the nation were hitting up their local Army-Navy surplus stores and buying bell-bottom jeans that they would then embroider and patch as an anti-war sartorial statement, often paired with a military jacket of some variety. Musicians and pop stars jumped on the bandwagon. Cher wore them. They were on Tom Jones, The Glorious 3 Degrees, Wicked Wilson Pickett. You could find a flare on a monkey. By '69, 3 out of 4 Beatles were flare followers, and once Elvis put them on, you'd never get him out of them again. But the real explosion happened in the early 70s, and this is when bell bottoms transitioned from a counterculture statement to mainstream fashion must-have. And the legendary TV show Soul Train provided the beat that helped propel that evolution. Everyone wore them. Men, women, kids, pop stars, your next door neighbor. And they were made in everything from faded denim to corduroy to high sheen polyester. Team them with a pair of platform shoes and an alchemical spiritual union was forged. You were long, you were lean, and somewhere very nearby there was a dance floor playing your jam. They were flattering. They almost seemed to have a built-in self-confidence. And for a generation embracing new identities like empowered women, a somewhat improved equality of races, and a greater visibility for the LGBT communities, the wide flare was a perfect match. When the 80s dawned, the golden age of bell-bottoms ended, but like all great fashion, it's come back around for occasional and brief visits. In the 1990s, the boot cut or the flare jean happened, more subtle than the original, but it was undeniably a callback to the silhouette. In the early Y2Ks, flares remained strong, adding the low-rise and hip-hugger look. These days, we're seeing a growing reference called the wide-leg pant or the retro flare. This most recent revival is driven by a general nostalgia for 70s vintage and a desire for a cleaner, sleeker silhouette compared to the decade-long dominance of the dreadful skinny jean. The bell-bottom wasn't just a passing trend, it's a cyclical fashion statement originally rooted in utility but graduated to rebellion. Thanks for watching, and hate 'em or love 'em, let me know all your bell-bottom feelings in the comments. And until next time, Whether you're swabbing the deck or hitting the disco dance floor, a little flair never hurts.